K-Vision TV.
Nothing to hide. My question is, when is COVID ending?
So to whom are you posing the question?
Are you asking?
Whoever's here.
I think you should ask ask us, what do we think? We can tell you what we think, but when you make it flat,
when is it ending?
When is it ending?
We bring COVID.
I think it becomes
because the president is scared.
Well, who brought it?
Are you not scared?
Or he is scared of the parasites.
Ladies and gentlemen, our rendezvous is always Cafe Olimark on Friday, and it is the Media Roundtable. Welcome everybody. Top journalists have a chance to dissect all the stories that have been making headlines throughout the whole week. Welcome everybody. Like always do, I'll give a 10 seconds preamble before guys can kill me here. The debate is becoming hot before even we can start on today's topics. And of course, today we'll have a spot check on the budget, the national budget, presented yesterday. We will also have a glimpse about what, Joel? Next topic. Which one is the other?
Have you talked of the budget?
The budget, yeah, spot check on the budget. Which one else?
What will be the second?
We look at lessons that we've learned from the sudden death
of Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza. And then the third
man
one?
of history.
The parasite talk of the president.
The parasite talk of the president. All of you have mastered and crammed the topics. We'll talk about the president. He says parasites can go to hell. Is it the end of parasites? Is it the end of the word so-called mafias in government? We want to dissect that. And two, we'll talk about the sudden death of Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza, the president of Burundi. Lessons learned. There's a lot of issues rotating around that because there's a president-elect who was supposed to take over in 2 months. And now there's a scuffle between the speaker, the vice president, and the president-elect on who should take over now before the 2 months elapse of the president-elect taking over. All those will discuss. Welcome on board, my senior. 10 seconds for your preamble, and then an introduction. Then we can move on with the show.
Yes, good evening, viewers. I'm Alex Samirema, a freelancer journalist based in Kasese.
Well, my name is Jolly Bambu. I am a journalist here in Kasese.
Say I'm the only lady on the media roundtable.
No, that does not make me the only lady in the media.
But on this media roundtable.
Right.
And on my left,
Jerome Kule Betwande, Cool Bits you can say. Twitter handle, it's at Jerome Kule.
Correct.
I'm so happy to be here, sipping cafe, Olimako, coffee.
Facebook.
Very beautiful. Facebook, of course, at Jerome Kule Betwande.
and on my extreme left.
Well, Vikeke Simon Victor, my name. Twitter handle that my colleague is saying because you're going into digitalization at Vikeke Victor. Alec, the cup I'm just holding in my arm.
And the coffee in it.
Exactly.
Just say you want the coffee. We know you like
My
it
name
so
is
much.
Ukash International, and I am the host. To be precise, we'll move rapidly through our topics. And to start with is a matter of national concern, and that was the budget. We want to look at the spot check keenly. We are trying to unpack the national budget and its relevancy. First, this is where I want to bring in Mr. Ali himself. Mr. Ali, the budget, the minister in his words while presenting the budget, he said the budget is shaped in such a way that it is going to actually stimulate our economy. Now the question I want to ask you, is the economy the minister talks about the same economy a layman or a peasant in Kasese feels? Start from there.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ukasha. Now, as it has been the norm, at some point in June, the Minister of Finance actually is delegated by the President to read the budget. And Mr. Matia Kaseja rightly did so yesterday. And he read the budget. This budget is one of the biggest budgets we've had in recent times because it is around 45 trillion Ugandan shillings. And it has been read at a time when Uganda has been hit by the COVID-19. And as you've asked, yes, the stimulus package the minister yesterday read out a series of stimulus packages in order to restate the economy that is doing badly as a result of the effects of the COVID-19. So you well know that people have not been working, businesses are at a standstill, and therefore there is a drop in revenue collections. And remember, I think out of this money, 21 trillion shillings is supposed to be generated locally through revenues that is collected from the Ugandan businesses. Then, and another thing is that this budget per se, the biggest part of it will be funded from externally, from the external debt and also internal debt. And that one raises a point of the country is going to borrow a lot and therefore increasing the debt burden to the Ugandan people. So I think when it comes to stimulus, yes, he pointed out several stimulus packages, like waiving off taxes and deferring some of the taxes. But most importantly, they have put money in Uganda Development Bank, UDB, to the tune of 1 trillion, where manufacturers will go and borrow at a low interest rate to make sure that they resurrect their industries. And at the end of the day, I think jobs will be created and the economy may somehow stabilize in the future.
I had this week on a topical discussions, I had Bradford Nguru. Bradford Nguru remind me of a saying, a fallacy Mobak Mao is always fronting these ends, that issues of averaging says that, Jerome, your head may be in the oven and your feet are in a fridge. You get the point? Mm-hmm. So on average, you'll say Jerome is okay because it is hot and cool this side. Why I chip in that, Jerome, is that I want you to bring it to our local scene. Does our local people in Kasese feel the economy and its progress in terms of percentage, 6% growth, this according to how the minister spells it? Okay. In realistic terms.
Okay. Thanks, Ukash, for hosting me here. You've put out that question, but what is a budget? Budget is allocation of funds. Okay. Expenditures vis-a-vis the earnings. So, what does a local person believe or think a budget is? To the local person, a budget is what he's in position to earn at his home vis-a-vis what he is going to spend. In many instances, just if you did a spot check to our people here around town, well, maybe Kasese town may have a few educated people, but if you went to the villages and you asked anybody about the budget, they don't even know that anything like the national budget has been read. What does it mean? That perhaps there might not be a direct impact. It is there, but somehow it is not even greatly felt, because we see these things in figures. Life is likely to continue as it has been. So what am I trying to say? That as a country, as the political leadership of a country, we have a huge role to play in making our people understand that the decisions taken from top have a direct impact on the people down here. That's why, if for example we're talking about agro-processing, we're talking about marketing of agricultural produce, you know, if you don't say we have put this number of billions in agriculture and this money is meant, this amount of money is to market the produce, the agricultural produce, including coffee, cotton, and water, and vanilla. And then in the subsequent year, we see a direct increase in the prices of agricultural produce, which has a trickle-down effect to see the local person appreciating what a national budget is.
To sum this up, I'll chip in BKK. BKK, what do you think missed out? What do you think that was supposed to have more emphasis in the budget? And to your disappointment, something else came in comparison. What do you think you are really anxious of listening to from the budget?
Like I posed my question at the beginning, and we need to look into this. Why should ministries that are not functioning as of now be allocated high or be given the lion's share?
Let me hope you're not going to the defense.
Not defense, give around defense.
Because it's
But also,
second
we look
big.
at the defense. Even if we are to look at the defense,
Which ministry?
how is it
specifically
benefiting
are you
the
talking
local
about?
man here in Kasese? When we are fighting issues of COVID, people are not earning. Instead of bringing money to the people, trying to look at the way they are living in and locate money in that line, you put to the Ministry of Education, which is sleeping idle. Like I may say, people are going to miss this year. And instead of putting the money in another factory, give them a help. We are going into digitalization, technology taking over, and you're only giving them to the 6% increment, of allocation. To me, government is not looking at the way people are supposed to do things. So we should look at the way we plan.
Simon,
Simon
is
thinks
trying to
technology,
persuade people.
technology. Where I agree with
That should
Simon.
have been my question. Right?
He's trying
Simon, I agree with Simon, where he says technology should have been allocated more than they gave them, because it's helping us the solution for many right now.
We are
An
studying
example,
from the villages
we had
using computers and other
the
stuff.
Heroes Day previously this week. It was technology,
Yes.
zooming to people. There are meetings on Zoom now.
Yes.
There are
No,
no longer
they're
there are no
just,
longer interministerial meetings from Kampala to Nairobi. You have to zoom the thing.
Yeah.
That is technology.
And
Technology
even, by
has
the way,
risen
people
the
are
thing. So we
studying from
needed
the villages on radios and televisions.
technology.
You see?
So they were supposed to increase on the portion.
And even yesterday, you remember the president followed the proceedings in parliament
Yes.
via video link from.
Exactly.
Very well.
Ugash.
Now this is where I bring in Jolly.
Please,
Jolly,
no,
is
there's
there
something
anywhere?
I don't want to leave undone. There are two specific things. There is no idol ministries in Uganda as per now because of COVID-19. That is what you need to know. Secondly, the local people are not feeling the budget
Exactly.
because of the local leadership. Nothing else. Are people being sensitized? Do people know that, for example, Kasese district do receive a certain amount of money to do work in the district?
Now,
Is that money tangible?
Now, Jolly,
Yes.
the context. There's no idol ministry, but there's reduced roles in ministries.
Right.
What they should do, like
Ministries
education.
that are more active than
There are those ones who are more active than the others.
Yes.
So that means you need to cut budget. Okay, I heard there was a cut in budget, but not.
and the nanny essential.
So it was not to my expectation.
To have a recent budget?
Yeah. So
Even
budget
those we are seeing as,
budget conversation, ladies and gentlemen, will continue the whole of next week. We'll
But as
converse
it
about budget.
continues, we'll cut.
So I want us to skip
For me, the issue of huge public debts is something that in the future we need to rethink. Otherwise, as young people, I am worried that a 78-year-old is going all over borrowing
On our heads. and
on my
our
behalf,
generations.
on behalf of my
A
children.
28
I think as young people that is something that we need to rethink.
And possibly before we do
But
that,
let me ask something.
if you look at the budget yesterday, 4 trillion shillings is going to pay the debt, not the principal, but interest.
It's okay. Ugash,
interest, not principle. What's your question? What's
how
your
many
question?
of us here are paying OTT currently as I speak?
As I speak, OTT tax. I want
How
to listen
many?
from you
I
guys.
Are we
have
not on
I am paying tax, but I'm not
VPN.
paying OTT.
Oh no, are you not on VPN?
I'm on VPN. Yeah.
I have
Now
been
you're
paying-
here talking of the debts.
Jolly,
I am paying
Jolly,
a lot
before we
of
go
money
far,
in taxes.
I have been paying OTT, but I'm wondering the accountability of OTT. How much so far have they contributed? And
Okay.
where is this money?
And how many have dodged,
What is
including
it
you?
worth?
BK? Many are
That's
dodging,
why I was
including you.
asking.
Jolly, tax don't limit tax to OTT alone. We pay a lot of taxes. However, BK, don't ask for accountability yet you're not paying taxes.
I'm paying, but I want
Ladies
to
and
know.
gentlemen,
I need to verify
this is
where I
this is
can
what
get-
it means to us journalists. Sometimes they get fiery whenever they have a crossover. Our second on our agenda is the president. A quotation we got from the president. We quote the president last week say, "Go to hell, parasites. To hell with parasites. The enemies of development."
Is that enough?
That is why I want to start with.
Is that-
I want to start with Jolly. Jolly is actually has information about.
Is that
No,
enough?
now, Jolly,
ahead.
a question I'm asking: has Has he just realized that we have parasites and the so-called mafias?
Has he-
Or he knew it before? Or this alarm or warning he's giving is that the action is coming?
Mr. President knew it before, and that's why he praised himself of erasing it from the URA. You heard him yesterday saying the same. But I want to say that corruption begins right away from household. And therefore, it's not a matter of go to hell, go to hell, go to hell, and that corruption will actually go to hell. It needs a kind of intervention that works within the change of the mind and the heart. And because the generation we are raising right now, this time, knows that even if you go for a meeting and they give you aka 50,000, you must give your boss aka 20, and you remain there, or you remain with aka.
So you also do that.
30. That is the generation now. Okay, I'm talking about the generation. I'm also
Whether you
saying
also
the
do it, that is
generation.
a story for another
Yes.
day. Okay.
Actually, we should work very hard
Yeah.
on changing the minds. But words cannot do anything. Then
And the
secondly,
mindset,
also making sure that the law works. Very many institutions have been instituted to erase corruption, to fight corruption, but it remains a song of the day. In every president's speech, you shall hear corruption.
It remains a song of the day. That's what Madame Jolie says, the only lady on this table. And this is where I want to bring in Jerome Cool Beats. Mr. Jerome,
Yes, please.
do mafias have a reason to panic after the president warning?
Allow me to even laugh. In 2015, the campaign trail president, one of the selling marks, selling statements for his presidential bid then was zero tolerance to corruption. One of my lecturers at Uganda Matters University, Associate Professor Jimmy Spire Sentongo, sarcastically wrote it as, just last week, this week actually, sarcastically wrote it as zero tolerance to corruption. We are a country that has grappled with corruption for a long time. And surely, we have a head of state. I know that there are some of the youth who did not know what it means for someone to be president. There are very many Ugandans who really didn't know what kind of powers a head of state has. And that's why maybe they were jumping all over, making noise about it. But COVID-19 has made us realize that a president is a very strong person in a country. A president is one person who orders that you should not work the following day, and your office is closed. Not for just 2 days, for a week, for 3 weeks, for a month, and close to 3 months. So, surely, as a young person, as a common person, it worries me that I have a head of state who has a lot of powers according to the constitution, and the gentleman is almost as much as lamenting as I should do.
Yeah, really.
You cannot afford to have a president. Surely, this is my personal appeal to the president if he ever has an opportunity to
Listen to you.
to watch this show, or if I did have an opportunity to talk to him direct. I have had, but
Well, this show goes viral. He'll
yes,
listen.
yes. Surely, Mr. President, to be honest, as I look into this camera, 30 or so many years down the road, all we need in Uganda to fight corruption is the political will. And this political will, unlike my friend Jole who says it's a household issue, it's true. Corruption is a household issue. We are starting it home. But at the end of the day, what the leadership of a country determines trickles down on the very common person. That's why if you're a very reckless father at home, a very reckless parent at home, the children will definitely become spoiled brats. So what or when the president exhibits that political will to fight corruption away from these so many institutions that have been created, there are times when you need to have some level of radicalism in fighting some of these things. And then you start with the real mafias, because I want to believe that actually the state house machinery and intelligence is huge enough for you to identify these mafias, even including those who I think might be in good positions of responsibility.
Thank you. Jerome calls for the state intervention with its strongest organs so that we can identify the mafias. He says it is easy. It can be as easy as done in a week. So it can be done in a week. I'm going to bring in Mr. Ali to sum it up. Bikeke, I'll start with you the next. But before Ali comes in, hold on. This is special for our sponsors. Come to Cafe Olimako for the most beautiful coffee, fast foods, snacks, sandwiches, pizzas. You want African tea, you want coffee. Very best. Jerome insists is the best in Western Uganda, and many other foods. Come here. Anyway, it's a cool place, very nice. You can have engagements like meetings. You can have your simple workshops, all facilitated at Cafe Olimako. Come and and test your experience. Have your better experience in terms of the best foods, both local and international foods. And I also want to bring you the good news of your phone solutions. Wahid Phones is a solution to all your phone problems. You want a better phone, you want a very brand new phone, original, that will last.
I like that feeling.
Yeah, original that lasts all the phone problems. It is Wahid Phones. You want a screen, you want to replace a screen, you want pieces, call the number will be on the screen, and of course they'll sort you. You want a new phone, you want to repair a phone, and many others. Wahid Phones. Now, Mr. Ali, Jerome thinks in a realistic perspective, this thing can be sorted in too much of condemnness of the corruption around. What's your opinion on the state of mafias, especially after the president's warning?
Yes, meanwhile, President Obote and history will judge them as the leaders who failed to control their armies and they committed atrocities. History may judge President Museveni as a leader who failed to control corruption during his regime. Every year, according to Transparency International, Uganda loses 500 billion shillings in corruption. So how much money is that one if it was injected into service delivery? But also, to pick it from where Jorama said, yes, the political will of fighting corruption. Okay. It's true. So the problem is the lack of the political will, because there are very many anti-corruption agencies that have been set up, but unfortunately they are duplicating work. Many agencies doing the same work, and that is the wastage of resources. But also, most importantly, we would like to see the big fish being also arrested and prosecuted. It is funny for somebody to steal 2 million and you follow him, and somebody steals billions of shillings, and at the end of the day,
you lack evidence.
Yes, you lack evidence. Is arrested, taken to court, is given bail. The next time we'll hear the DPP has lost interest in the case. It is very disheartening. Okay,
thank you so much, Mr. Ali. Ladies and gentlemen, rapidly we'll move to our second topic of the day, where we're doomed by the sudden death of the president of Burundi, Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza. He died of heart attack, according to reports from the Burundi government, to be precise, though he died in Kenya. There was a lot of social media talk of corona, which I find trash. I found trash after my investigations. But about the death of Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza, what are the lessons?
International issues.
Jole, you face disciplinary. What are the lessons learned from Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza's death? After his death, there was a scuffle between among the speaker, the deputy president or vice president, and the president-elect on who takes over. Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza died 2 months before his handover to the president-elect, because Burundi has had elections. The president-elect claims he has to take over power. The vice president says he has to take over power until the 2 months elapse. And the constitution says the speaker takes over power. So who wins the battle? Who will take it all? I want to listen from these top journalists and the lessons learned from this scuffle in Burundi about who takes over power at the moment. I'll start with Ali on this.
It's very, very unfortunate for a president to die when he's still in the office. That is one. Then two, he died a young man, 55 years. And you see, Burundi has had a bloody history. And Nkurunziza, when he came to power, he tried to unite the Burundian people. But also, is a president who has died at the time he had made that peaceful transition of power. He was in the process. The elections had been made, then he was in the process of handing power to Evariste Ndayishimiye, the current president,
elect
sometime in August. Now he has died. So I think what we should learn is that when a big man dies sometimes, unless there is a streamlined succession plan, we are likely to see power struggles, like what we are seeing in Burundi. But I'm told that the constitution says, in the event the president dies, the speaker
takes over.
Should take over. But now there is a unique thing of that already there is a president in waiting. So I think we shall need the constitutional interpretation.
You will say
actually,
yes.
yesterday I got reports that after a cabinet meeting and they failed to resolve it, so they decided to take it to the constitutional court for guidance. They said guidance. That's the phrase they used. Bikeke, lessons.
Well, according to the constitution of the of this republic, they say
Which republic?
that is
Name it.
Burundi's
Burundi, yeah.
constitution, that the president of the National Assembly is the one who is supposed to take over in such a scenario, when such a thing is going to happen. And in this matter now, it's Nyabenda Pasco who is supposed to take over. And like what El has just said, when you don't have a plan ahead, this is what is likely to happen. But let's respect the constitution. That if there is an elect which whom we know, he should wait for the time when he's supposed to take over. And in this matter, in any other country, even any other country within Africa, if it happens, what guides is the document that unites you, the document, the constitution, which has the power on everything. But now, what lesson am I taking from this? One, it is a tip of to other countries that indeed they need to plan. They should learn from this and plan their succession. They should have succession plans. God forbid, in the countries within Africa, East Africa exactly, but we should look at how can we plan ahead of this.
Sure. This is where I want to bring Jerome. Jerome, you're summing it up all. Give us the general overview, what it means and the picture you think is in Burundi, and what do you anticipate is going to come
And I
out?
think Jerome should also be in position to guide us. Who is supposed to take power?
Who, in your opinion?
Well,
of course, this is
He's talking of the
opinion.
president of the National Assembly. He was talking of the speaker of Parliament of Burundi. Exactly. Who?
Well, the president of the National Assembly is more or less the speaker. It's the same, only that, of course, depending on which administrative system or political system you're using, the naming can be different. But
it's a speaker.
in effect, it's the speaker for our case in Uganda. Yeah. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution says the Speaker or the President of the National Assembly takes over. It should be as simple and as obvious that because the head of state has died, the Speaker takes over, or the President of the National Assembly takes over, and then things move on normally. Things move on normally until August, when we have the new head of state, Evariste, coming in to be sworn in, and then he takes over as president. I find it a little funny that among the people who are claiming they want to take over, Evariste is also one of them, I'm told. But why should... And I think
why
that...
the panic?
Why
That's
the
why I'm
panic?
wondering.
And I think
you're already president-elect. In 2 months' time, you're getting a thing.
This, I think, also speaks to...
Is he greedy for power?
This also speaks to
That is
the
Africa.
constitutionalism. And I think as Africa, as the Great Lakes region, as Uganda, we need to look at to what extent do we practice constitutionalism. Every now and then you have a constitution that you promulgated in good faith and then abrogate it because you want to serve certain personal political interests. That document, that national document, a very important one, is relegated to a mere paper, is relegated to a mere book. Because constitutionalism is not just about the book. It's not just about the law book. It is also about the spirit and the willingness to abide by what is written within that book. But it's also about the ability of the laws provided therein to safeguard against any personal interests that want to override that law book. So, in a nutshell, I'm saying that as a people of Uganda, as the people of East Africa, as the people of Africa, it's high time we appreciated the fact that a head of state is not infallible, neither is he or she an immortal being. Just like many of our people are dying, a head of state can die as and when God so calls. And this should be reason good enough to help us prepare for this time. When, not if, okay? Not if, but when it happens. And there have been calls in a few other East African countries that perhaps we should just wait and see the head of state die. You know, I think that shouldn't be something we should pray for, especially in countries where systems of management, systems of politics have been dismantled.
Okay.
The succession can be a little more disastrous, and what has been built over a long period of time can be spoiled in a blink of an eye.
In a blink of an eye. And that's what Jerome says, what has been built for quite a long time in just a second can be, of course, destroyed due to the poor succession plan. Jerome says we need to look at death as a nature, something that may suddenly happen at any time whenever God calls. So it's not an if then and if what. It's normal, it happens just like any other person dies. Even the president goes. Ladies and gentlemen, like we always do in our last segment of the Media Roundtable, we always have the worst and best moment of the week and the possible headline that we think will top stories next week. In 5 seconds, I think I'll start from my extreme right, Mr. Ali. Well, your best and worst moment then, what do you think will make headlines short next week?
Yes, for the best moment, I don't have one per se, but the worst moment, of course, the death of Kasirye Gwanga,
Oh dear.
and the death of Nkurunziza, dying in the same week. It was really bad. But next week, there is a debate that is raging on about the district split with two classes of votes. One is saying we must have a city, another one is saying we must have the districts. So I think it will continue becoming a topical discussion.
Thank you. Mr. Ali thinks the split of the district is coming back and in an hot style because others are advocating for a city.
And some are actually debating on how it should be split.
Sure. What is yours now?
A campus being drawn. We want it like this, we want it like this. So.
Shaping.
Anyway, my worst moment last week.
At the end of the day, we'll find our districts in S like this.
8, Kanaronan.
My worst moment last week, was when we were denied to access the Kiraro camp, and actually we had to foot from Kitoma Trading Center to the other bridge that actually connects the two sub-counties at night without
how many kilometers
without any security.
Approximately.
Yet we were stopped by security. So, and by within this week, I think very many things are going to make headlines. Some are political and some issues are social. I'll choose what to go.
Of course, it is the loss of heroes. I'm wondering when a hero dies on the Heroes' Day. This is something
superhero.
It's a superhero, actually. A superhero.
When did you want him to die?
I'm wondering, was it that by God's plan?
So what's your
What
is the story?
From what I think from him, the guy was clear. He was among those fighting corruption. I remember one time when he was trying to hand those people who are trying to destroy nature.
Mavericks to stand.
Exactly. Sure. In Renzori, we need to protect our environment because this is what is giving us the next, morning.
So if that is heroic,
when it comes to environment issues,
protecting
I must
the environment.
be there.
That's why we kick it.
What is going to make headlines next week? Well, just of recent, when people have been complaining of the food not reaching their people, despite the RDC coming on the side and saying, look, people should not comment on this. The corruption tendencies is even reaching on the ground. So we are yet to explore and really put to light. Let me just look into the camera and I'll tell the world that we are soon naming and shaming corrupt individuals, irrespective of who you are. And we don't want to know if you're working in an office, but we shall tell the world that this person is corrupt. We need accountability and good governance.
Corruption and exposing the corrupt. That's what BKK thinks will be
the
top story.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing his list.
Let me give you my own.
Shame list.
Let me give you my own. I think my worst moment of the week was the sudden death of Jean-Pierre Nkurunziza. Was anxious of saying in 2 months' time how the peaceful transition of power will be like in Burundi, so that we can also go and benchmark. And now he's dead, so it's worst. Top stories my colleagues have given. Thanks for being part of the show. This is the UJK Media Roundtable. Thanks for the feedback. Always leave your comments in a comment section on our Facebook page, KVision TV, and of course my personal pages, Ukash Swibe on Instagram, at Swibe Ukash on Twitter, and Ukash Swibe on Facebook. Always smash a like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and of course click on the notification button so that you get all our uploads. Thank you so much, those ones in the feedback, YBD, where are you, and others, many more. Much love. UJK Media Roundtable.
This is Cafe Olimako.
Someone said
KVision TV.